It's that time again, time for a new module. This time we're at Module 4, which is on organizing. We begin with a look at our chapter quizzes, and we're going to be looking at chapters 9 through chapter 12. In chapter 9, where you look at designing adaptive organizations, this is important because business is evolving very quickly, and it's important that an organization can evolve with the trends and changes that are going on so that it can stay viable. A business that stays with, we've always done it this way, will end up not being a business after all. I'm sure we can all think of companies that used to be here. Well, enough said. Chapter 10 is about managing teams. Well, you've had a couple of assignments now working in teams, and no different this time. You're going to continue working in teams. I want you thinking about the challenges of groupthink and the importance of having someone, at least one person, refuse to go along with just automatic status quo. You need to be able to force the team to look at alternative options so that you make sure that you have the right decision, not just the fastest decision. In chapter 11, we get into managing human resource systems, and that touches on some of the laws and practices of hiring, training, correcting, and if necessary, firing people. We get more specifically into these areas in the Human Resources Management class. That's where you'll learn more about the laws and human resources in general. For now, it's more that you get comfortable with the terminology that's being used and that you start to think from a manager point of view. An employee thinks me first. A manager with an entrepreneurial point of view thinks business first. And that way, the decisions that are made aren't just for the betterment of one person, they're for the betterment of everybody in the organization. Chapter 12 talks about managing individuals and a diverse workforce. The makeup of businesses is changing. California just passed a law that requires boards to have a woman on their boards so that more equality and a more diversity is recognized in business. I look forward to when diversity becomes just an expected thing and it isn't something that has to be mandated in order to happen. From a more close to town point of view, we have a variety of different kinds of backgrounds just in our own backyard. And it's important to be able to work successfully with each one of those, whether it is a difference in religion, whether it's a difference in marital status, or it could be even a difference in activities that we like to do. Everything is different about everyone. So it's a matter of bringing together a team or a group of individuals that reflects a broad enough outlook that you're really able to get strong results. After we finish with quizzes, we're ready to go into our project work. Our first project is when goals aren't met. For this assignment, you're thinking about what do you do when all heck breaks loose and you have to make things work anyway? How do you get your team back on track, working successfully, so that you can still reach that deadline that you need to reach? So that's what this is all about. And you have reading and videos and an opportunity to think about how you would treat the situation. We have a discussion, and that's on diversity, and I want everyone thinking about how they are unique and different. I want you to be able to describe diversity. Explain how the dimensions differ at deep level diversity. What are their deeper characteristics? What do they value? What principles do they hold true? We have 2 case studies. The first case study is about employee time off. This is a relatively new concept. One of the first companies who ever gave unlimited time off was Virgin. You take what you need. You take what you want. As long as your work's done, it doesn't matter when you get it done or where you get it done. So what's good about that, and what about the other side of the fence? What's bad about that? So I want you to read through the materials provided in this assignment and then give your personal belief and back it up with research so that it's not just your opinion, you back it up with support. Same thing with dress code. You're given a scenario. How do you treat the scenario? Do you enforce a rigid dress code? Do you relax the dress code based on what's going on? How do you treat customers? And how do they treat you, depending upon how you're dressed? So all of those go into consideration in those case studies. And what I'm looking for in those is the ability to go beyond surface level thinking. I want you thinking about deeper considerations. What are the long-term effects in a business if you go one way or the other, and why? You have 2 Microsoft apps to work on. We had to take Teams off the list of apps because the college can't separate it out, so I'll deal with that not in this class, in another term. This time you have OneNote and Skype. For OneNote, you will just be basically writing a note, sending me a copy of the note via snipping tool. And in Skype, you'll set up a meeting with your team members and hold your meeting, and then you'll send me a screenshot of all of you together in the meeting. Pretty simple, but it lets me know that you've at least explored the app. So if an employer says, "Are you familiar with Microsoft Office apps?" you're able to say yes. Team project, performance evaluation this time. And for this, you are reviewing my performance. That's something that's relatively new in the workplace. Normally, the supervisor determines and evaluates the performance of employees and then puts that in their personal permanent folder that's filed with human resources. Well, what's missing from there is how employees interact or how they feel about their interactions with their direct report. So in the 360 model, not only does the supervisor review the supervisees, but the supervisees have an opportunity to look at what's working and not working for the supervisor and offer constructive criticism to help the supervisor improve. In this case, you are critiquing my performance. Please be somewhat gentle, but please be honest. I do actually read every single one of these and take them to heart, and I try to use what you share to help improve the class. One of the things that I'm doing different is I have a lisp. We all know I have a lisp. It's not something I can really hide. When I speak very clearly and very slowly, My lisp is less pronounced, and it is easier to understand what I am talking about. Well, according to students last term, it also made me sound like a robot, and it wasn't very good, and they didn't like it so much, and that they would rather have my lisp and have me actually have highs and lows. So wahoo! I've also had students suggest some changes in how the course is laid out, and I've taken that into consideration and have made changes. So I look forward to what you suggest. So for this, it's a two-part item for your team. The first step is to determine 10 measurements, so 10 items that you're going to measure about my performance. You'll set this up in a page. Well, first you do your team charter. Then you set this up in your team page, and you don't do anything with it until all team members have signed off on the 10 performance criteria. If you were interviewing a new employee or prospective employee, you would develop this, or if you were interviewing and doing reviews of your employees, you would develop this. So whatever questions that you would use to be able to determine whether the new employee would be a good fit, or whether a current employee is performing at a level, or based on the different needs, performing at the right level for each need, so that you can help them increase their performance and do better. So you're going to come up with these, and then you'll be able to go back after everyone's approved the questions, and as a team, so you're only going to do one altogether, you're going to develop the answers for the performance appraisal. So here's a couple of examples, and this is how it would be set up. You have the question or statement to start with, and then you have evaluators. In this case, poor, fair, good, very good, or excellent. And then you provide a space for feedback. It's important to be able to provide feedback because it allows for improvement. It gives constructive ways to change behavior. In this one, I put instructor sets consistent deadlines. Next one, next statement. Well, this is when you determine the next statement. You'd keep going until you have 10. Part 2 is filling that in. At least 3 areas, so at least 3 of the items, of the 10 items, cannot score more than mid-range approval. And you need to provide feedback for why the targeted item didn't score higher. That way I can use that for improvement. And you need to be able to provide feedback, or the why, for items that do rate. So basically every question gets feedback. What is going on that's right, or what is going on that's wrong that could be changed to be improved, and how could it be changed? I have here, and I'm going to edit this as soon as the video is done. One member of your team will submit this paper as an attachment. I realized this term actually that in your e-portfolios that you put together in your final term, you need to have submitted all of these assignments so that you can get to them to put them in your portfolio when you graduate. So what I want you to do is I want every team member to submit the final paper. Don't do it until you've all signed off on it, because it needs to match and it needs to be the same. So you'll submit a note. You can just email me and let me know that your evaluation criteria is in place and ready for me to review. And then once you've finished your evaluation, you'll submit the paper in the assignment area. Make sure in your finished paper, basically you're going to take the evaluation that you finish that's in that wiki page, you're going to copy it to Word and format it to be pretty, and then you'll submit it as an assignment. Make sure it has a cover page so that you clearly indicate who did participate in the team activity and who did not. Once you have the performance evaluation finished, you'll be ready to do your team review. And at that point, you'll have everything done for this module, and hopefully you'll have got it done a little bit ahead of time and make your world a little softer and smoother. Hope this helps. Have a great day.